You're listening to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast on the air since 1981.
And now, here's your host.
Welcome back to the program, Mom. Zev Brenner. It's been a while. It's my fault, but we're very glad that we have once again Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis joins us. So thank you. Representing Staten Island and Southern Brooklyn. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So we were in the midst of a re-election campaign. It seems like a rematch yourself for Max Rose running again. So is it deja vu all over again?
Yeah, I guess a little bit, except the problems we're facing right now have been brought to us by one-party control, and I think people are just seeking a balance, and they desperately see the need for New York City to have at least one Republican voice in Washington. And I'm that voice that has countered a lot of what we're seeing come out of the left. So packing the Supreme Court, attempts to do that, attempts to bring some of the anti-policing policies we see in New York City to the federal level, attempts to ban voter ID laws from states having them. And of course, that $5 trillion inflationary spending. We've been successful in stopping those policies, but now people want to see action. And the only way we're going to do that is we have a balance in our government and end one-party rule, so we can secure our border, restore public safety in America's cities like New York, make sure we have a stronger economy. We have to tackle inflation. And also we need a smarter energy policy than what we currently are seeing under this administration. We need to ramp up domestic production. And as you know, that affects every aspect of our lives. So that's what we're focused on. We have a commitment to America that we have rolled out, and we believe it's resonating with the American people who are concerned about all those crises manufactured under one-party rule.
Are we seeing the Republicans in a better position in New York than they've been in a long time this electoral season? You think that the Republicans are in a much better position?
I do, because I feel that, look, whether you're a Democrat, an independent, or Republican, you see what's happening. And you're seeing how the pendulum has swung way too far to the left when you have one party, the Democratic Party in this case, controlling everything. And so people understand that if they want to see public safety restored, if they want to see that ridiculous bail law that has caused crime to skyrocket in New York repealed, if they want to see the taxpayers once again respected and their money actually used for the things that we need, then they have to provide a balance in Albany. Look, the state legislature, I believe, will remain in Democrat hands. The only way to get that balance would be to elect a Republican governor. I'm supporting Lee Zeldin. I think he's someone of common sense. I served with him in Congress. And I think that he will do the things that Kathy Hochul refuses to do, like fixing the bail law and putting in place common sense law and order policies to restore public safety for New York's families.
Crime is a big issue. That's the major one issue that you're hearing out there, right?
It absolutely is. And I've actually introduced a number of measures on the federal level, which if in a Republican majority, we would be able to get passed into exposing what rogue Democrat prosecutors are doing, people like Alvin Bragg here in Manhattan, but also making sure that states are requiring states to allow judges to have discretion to set bail when individuals are dangerous and pose a threat. What we're seeing under this governor right now is people, as many as 108 prior arrests, that's the record that I've seen so far, being released back onto the streets. So if we have to require the states to allow judges to have discretion, we will, but we can just elect a governor who would fix this bail law and put in place common sense policy where, hey, you commit multiple crimes, you're a career criminal, you have to go to jail.
Now, I've seeing the tenor of the time that the tone is off, the Democrats, Republicans, so at each other. I've been monitoring a lot of the election ads in New York and New Jersey, and it seems the Democratic ads always portray their opponent as being super MAGA, extreme friend of Donald Trump, as opposed to the issues. What's going on? Why can't we debate the issues? Why is it always hinging on an external factor, which is not really resonating with voters?
Well, I think it's because the Democrats are trying to deflect from the issues that we're truly facing at this time. And why? Because they're the ones in charge. They've created these problems with their policies. My ads have focused on the need for energy independence in our country, that we cannot rely on adversaries who hate us, like Iran and Venezuela, but instead we should be producing it abundantly here, using our natural resources, creating jobs in the economy, and also reducing the costs on American taxpayers. My ads have also focused on crime. My opponent has supported a lot of these bad policies, including closing Rikers Island. He was one of the first supporters of the bail law, even though now he's trying to change his tune because he doesn't want to be associated with the disaster it's created. But focusing on law and order, repealing the bail law, supporting our police. I'm proud to have delivered millions of dollars to the NYPD from the federal level to provide protective equipment, to provide forensic equipment, to support the canine unit, so important to counterterrorism. And doing the opposite of what many New York Democrats have said, which is they want to defund the police. And my ads, lastly, have also focused on the inflationary spending, the need to get costs under control. And the way we're going to do that is with smart energy policy, as I said, because as you know, energy affects everything, right? The transportation of food, of goods, manufacturing of those goods, whether you can heat your business or keep the lights on. Every aspect of our lives is affected by energy. If we don't have a smart energy policy, we're going to see these high costs remain. But also, government cracking down on unsustainable spending, unnecessary spending. And unfortunately, we saw a lot of that this last year with one party rule in Washington. So we want to see a balance. We don't want to see 87,000 IRS agents hired.
I read in the paper
well.
I've read that the Republicans will repeal the 87,000 hiring, right, of IRS agents.
Well, that's our intention. And one of the first bills we plan to pass would be to stop that. Think about this: you have 20,000 Customs and Border Protection agents at the border, and here they want to hire what will end up being about 100. End up being about 190 IRS agents total when they finish doubling the department, right, with this additional 87,000. I think those people should be at the border, not going after middle class families, going after businesses. Let's be sensible here, and if we have crime issues, we need more police officers. If we have a crisis at our border and they're being overrun by the drug cartels, we need to put more agents there. That's where we should be spending these resources.
And crime is such an important issue, but the crime also feeds into anti-Semitism because criminals feel they can get away with crime. People feel they can get away with hurting Jews or other ethnic groups. If crime is reduced, I believe anti-Semitism will reduce. How can we fight this anti-Semitism that's in Staten Island, Brooklyn especially, all over? It's not just limited to any one area.
Yeah, I'm really proud to have the support of an organization called Combating Anti-Semitism Everywhere. Also proud to be working with organizations like AIPAC, and my local elected officials to address these issues. And you're right, when we have crime increasing, those are going to include hate crimes. But I think the most important thing is to condemn anti-Semitism wherever we see it. And I've done that when it occurs in my district. And we stand with the Jewish community. We also stand with all religious leaders and political leaders to condemn these attacks. And, the Jewish people are rightfully concerned about what they're seeing, and it is scary. And you also have attacks on the Asian American community that they've been concerned, and they are now, I think, going to vote Republican as well, because they see that if they want public safety, if they want individuals to be in jail, then they need to vote for common sense law and order politicians. But I'm also very proud to have received the endorsement from Jewish Press, the Jewish Voice. I've developed a very strong relationship with the Jewish community in our district, and also with Israel, right? Strengthening that relationship with Israel is key. As a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, I've been able to do that, making sure we deliver funding for the Iron Dome, making sure we gave them the equipment that they needed when they were under attack by Hamas, standing up against the reentry of the Iran deal, the biggest state sponsor of terrorism. This administration is looking to negotiate with Iran once again. And we've been standing up in many ways in a bipartisan effort on the Foreign Affairs Committee to advise against it. I've also gone to Israel twice and have really, it was the first visit actually I made as a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. The first trip was with a bipartisan group where we showed support and solidarity with the people of Israel. So I look forward to continuing that But we also need to teach about history and the Holocaust in our classrooms. People need to know. These young children need to know. I fear what happens in social media these days. They throw around words like they don't have any meaning, and that needs to change. We need to make sure people understand what the Holocaust was, what a Nazi is, and how horrific the atrocities were against the Jewish people at the hands of the Nazis.
No, it's so important. Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis of Staten Island, Southern Brooklyn, is our guest. You know, we live in such crazy times, and there's anti-Semitism is rampant. There's so much that's taking place that's off the mark. And one of the things that bothers me is that we have a law in the books, the Taylor Act, which forbids the United States government to continue to give large amounts of money to the Palestinian Authority as long as they're paying martyrs money to kill Jews and kill Israelis, kill Americans. I know under the Trump administration, they stopped all funding, and now the funding is back. What can we do? Because if funding is being given to the Palestinian Authority, as long as they're paying murderers to murder, nothing, it's only going to increase terrorism. What can we do about that?
Well, I think what we need to do is really take a close look at where all our foreign affairs dollars are being spent. We should not be giving to countries that dislike us. We should not be giving to countries that continuously vote against us in the United Nations. We should not be giving to countries that hurt our allies. And I feel that when you actually look through the spending of the Department of State, you get very discouraged and very upset. We have inspector generals who have put together some reports that have recommended places of spending as well. So it's about both prioritizing on spending that supports our allies, stopping the spending against our adversaries, but making sure that we're using the leverage, right, when we are making these contributions. And so, as you say, we shouldn't be rewarding individuals if they continue to do the wrong thing. And that is one of my biggest concerns, by the way, with Iran right now. You know, with the Iran deal, that this administration is looking to re-enter without any changes, right? So that's something the Foreign Affairs Committee has been very vocal about, and many members of Congress have been about. But really, I think a lot of people want to see American tax dollars stay here. Of course, we need to be strategic and smart for our own national security, for our own economic viability. We need to engage with people throughout the world. We need to just be strategic and smart about it and protect the American taxpayers as best we can.
We have a few moments left, so much to talk about. We have to have you back. But what's your biggest challenge on the campaign trail?
Well, look, I've been getting a great response everywhere we've been, whether it's in Brooklyn, North Shore of Staten Island, South Shore of Staten Island, or the Mid-Island. We feel real excited about defeating Max Rose once again. Now that people have been represented by both of us, I feel that people are more happy with the leadership that we've provided. We've delivered tens of millions of dollars to this district in economic development project and in support for our NYPD, our local hospitals and organizations. But we've also helped thousands of people resolve constituent cases. We feel really good about the work that we're doing on behalf of this community. We're certainly representing their values more in Washington. So I think the biggest challenge is to get everyone out to vote. I think people need to understand how critical this election is, that we have to end one-party rule. If they want to see public safety restored, if they want to see the border secure, if they want to see inflation slowing, if they want to see America energy independent again, then they have to vote Republican this year, because the Democrats have done the exact opposite on all those issues, and they've made these problems worse. They've created crises. So I would say that please get out and vote. Make sure that Staten Island and Southern Brooklyn delivers the votes necessary to make Lee Zeldin governor. I think that would be the most impactful thing we can be doing this year, is to get a balance in Albany and the state of New York, to make New York safe and want a state that respects the taxpayer once again. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. And that's what we've been working these next few days to accomplish.
Here's the toughest question of the interview so far. You ready, Congresswoman? You're on the campaign trail. You go to a lot of different ethnic events, including Jewish ones. What's your favorite Jewish food on the campaign trail?
Oh, I think you asked me this last time.
I did.
Please.
I asked it all. I want to see if it changed.
No, I mean, well, I think what did we say last time was was it hummus, or we had the tabbouleh I love, right? So if we can get, and whenever you go to an event and there's lox, the other day we were at an event with a large presence in the Jewish community, and they were serving lox. You can never go wrong with that. So some cream cheese and lox in the morning is a nice thing. But look, I love the food in Israel. Actually, when I went there, it was fantastic. It's very similar to Greek food. It's very similar, and so we share a lot. I think we have a lot in common.
Certainly, we do. Any Jewish events between now and election? Any outreach to the Jewish community?
Well, Saturday, I'll be at Young Israel speaking with the congregation there. Looking forward to making our case as to why we should be electing Republicans in New York so we can have a balance in our state. And I'm really proud of the work that we've done together with them. I think they've appreciated my leadership on the issues, whether it's fighting anti-Semitism, or whether it's strengthening our relationship with Israel, because it is such a strategic ally, so important for our national security, and my opposition to the Iran deal. But more importantly, I think people in the community, look, they're concerned. They're all concerned about the same thing when you really talk to them. They're concerned about inflation and the cost of living, and they're concerned about public safety and the rise in crime.
Right.
And again, those are our issues. And that's why you said earlier, the Democrats are deflecting, talking about everything else except for those issues. They refuse to address those issues because they are the ones that created the problem.
I'm surprised congestion pricing wasn't up there, because that creates a problem for the boroughs outside Manhattan, including Staten Island, could be affected. But I thought it'd be more of a campaign issue than it was. I'm surprised.
Well, I've made it an issue and I've brought it up quite a bit. In fact, Josh Gottheimer of New Jersey and myself, we're working in a bipartisan fashion to try to stop this on the federal level. We've made a lot of hay about it. We've gotten a lot of testimony against it. We're trying to get the federal government to institute a full and thorough environmental impact statement, because they're trying to just jam this thing through. We've brought Pete Buttigieg before the Transportation Committee, of which I sit. And I asked him about this. I want a full and thorough evaluation. Unfortunately, the Biden administration supports congestion pricing, so it gives us a disadvantage. That is why also we need to get this balance I'm talking about, so we have more leverage to push back against it. But if you get Governor Lee Zeldin elected, this thing will be dead. So that's the choice. I mean, and it is a big issue. And when I do talk to people, businesses, residents, young people who want to go in Manhattan to enjoy themselves, no one wants to pay $23 to drive in another borough in the city in which they live, nor should they have to. And that is the difference, again, between what Governor Hochul is offering and what our hopefully future governor Lee Zeldin is offering. I think people want to see that balance. They understand that the MTA needs to be reined in. And that's why Josh Gottheimer and I have introduced legislation to require a federal audit for every penny the federal government has given to the MTA. We want that done. Because we believe that there's a lot of waste. We know there's a lot of waste, right? We know that there's a lot of mismanagement. So let's focus on that, not focusing on taking more money from hardworking constituents.
Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Look forward to having you back again.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
Thank you for tuning in to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast, the pulse beat of the Jewish community.
For continuous Jewish programs, TalklineNetwork.com, or our 24-hour-a-day listen line at 641-741-0389. For past shows, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, Instagram, and all major podcast platforms, or jewishpodcast.org. Thanks for listening to the TalklineNetwork.com.